Hello friend, and welcome back to my studio. I'm an artist specializing in realistic oil paint, and I love to talk about art. But I get intimidated. I often feel like there's just some element of an art piece that I don't see, and that feeling can keep me from talking about the art that I love and hate. But I also truly think that no opinion is wrong when it comes to understanding an art piece. Maybe your opinion is wrong in terms of the facts of the piece, but your emotions are your own, and your reaction to a piece are as valid as the artist's intentions for it. So, to help people who don't feel equipped to have a good conversation about art, I've made some videos explaining how to understand art. This video is the last of the series, How to Easily Understand Art at an Advanced Level. If you haven't seen the other two, they're linked in the description, and I recommend starting with those before jumping in here. Through the last two videos, we've learned to understand what a painting or a sculpture is, and what people's opinions about it are, and what we think about it in comparison to others' opinions. We've gathered a lot of information and feelings about the art, and we are equipped to have a good conversation about it. Now it's time to go even deeper and ask some harder questions in order to gain a complete understanding of any work of art. Before you ask the first question though, you should subscribe to my channel to see more art content, because then you'll see videos like this and you'll know that the first question you need to ask to gain an advanced understanding of a work of art is, what cultural movements influenced the creation of the work? Let's go big with this example and look at Van Gogh's The Bedroom. There's a lot of Dutch culture in this artwork, with the unique architecture, bright colors, and multiple hanging landscapes. There's also a lot of evidence in the strong emotions of his time in the strong brush strokes he uses. In his lifetime, people were grappling with a new modern reality of machines due to industrialization. In a way, this culture likely pushed Van Gogh to see more extreme color in the world around him, because everything in his time was moving too fast and metal was king. Artistically, he was influenced by the preceding movements of Romanticism and Realism. Romanticism rejects order and embraces individuality, and Realism followed the advent of photography and aimed to accurately depict everyday life. You can see traces of both these schools of art in The Bedroom, but the major cultural influence reflected in this work was Impressionism, which was characterized by short, quick brush strokes and an unfinished kind of feeling. Van Gogh blended these elements together and reflected the culture of his time in his paintings. He was a major contributor to the art movement that was later called Post-Impressionism. An easy follow-up to the question of culture is a question of character. So next, you should ask, what was the artist like? I recommend asking this after you know what their lifetime was like, so you have more context for the kind of person they were. A hopeless optimist is a lot different in the Great Depression era than the French Revolution era. For our example, Van Gogh is well known to be a moody type. He was unhappy and most likely mentally ill, basically his whole life. He found solace in the colors of the natural world and painted with fervor, almost desperation. He remained a poor man his whole life and shot himself in the end. All of this background helps me as a viewer of the art to better understand why the artist made the decisions that they did. In Van Gogh's case, it was a colorful expression of a hastily captured sense of self in a scattered age. With The Bedroom, he is saying, look at this room, I live here. Feel the colors, feel the unease. Feel this Dutch industrialized town with me through these quick strokes of paint. And with the context, I can feel all of that. With only a basic understanding, I wouldn't be able to explain what feels just wrong about it, but knowing Van Gogh was unhappy in a discontented time helps me know why the room just isn't quite right, despite the beauty of it. Now I'm ready to ask the next big question. What impact has this work or artist had in history? Ideally, I would only ask about the specific work in question, but impact often reaches back to the artist's work as a whole. In Van Gogh's case, he is considered one of the greatest post-impressionist painters. After his tragic early death, his whole life was reframed as that of a struggling mad genius, and his works garnered interest. Over years, his life became legend and his work became next to priceless. In 2022, his painting Orchard with Cypresses sold for $117 million. His work influenced countless painters after him and still holds sway today, which brings us seamlessly into the last question: what makes this work relevant today? The answer in this case is because of the monumental cultural impact that Van Gogh and his work had. It has been 140 years, and this painting is still taught in art history at every level. I saw this painting in 2nd grade, and I saw it again in college. It is still relevant due to the life of the artist and the current market value of his work. If his life had not gathered such public interest after his death, we likely would not know the name of this painting, let alone know it by heart. Let's go through it again with another example. Not every art piece has such a rich history, but these questions will help you understand any art. For example, this very recent painting by me is titled "Looks Like a Monday Night." The abstract for it, summarized, is: each night I bring a pillow from the couch over to the office and I lay on the floor while my husband plays games. I keep thinking we should put a couch here, and keep forgetting to do it. This works for now. So first, what cultural movements influenced this work? Well, there are always a lot of influences. The big cultural factors are consumer capitalism and the COVID-19 pandemic. Consumer capitalism drives people into a constant state of wanting, and this painting was made in appreciation for the things already owned, as a form of opposition to always buying more. The pandemic drove fear into society and encouraged more people to stay at home more often. Staying in each night is a hard habit to break, and that can be seen in the influence of this painting. Next, what is the artist like? In regards to my work, I would say I'm rather reclusive and depressed, but proactive. I have a lot of sadness in my life, which shows up in my paintings as a form of hope, I hope. I try to avoid putting my sadness into my work, but it's there as a backdrop for the optimism I aim to convey through the appreciation of things as they are that I put in the composition of my paintings. Next, what impact has this artist had in history? Even though the answer is none yet, this question is still a good one to ask because now I know that this artist has an unfinished agenda. They are still waiting, hoping, trying, or trying to avoid making their mark on history. Lastly, what makes this work relevant today? Easy! It's relevant today because it was painted so recently. That means all the cultural impacts that influence this painting are still at play in modern society, and any commentary given through the artwork directly applies to the current day. In this case, the commentary on consumer capitalism is still incredibly relevant, and the artist would have people interrupt their current purchasing habits and reinvent them with intention. I did eventually buy a couch, for anyone wondering. And that's it. Those are all the questions that could ever be asked of an artwork. No, obviously you can ask endless questions about anything, but these are some really good ones to start with. Hopefully, this video helped you understand art at an advanced level. If you are asking these questions about a work of art and answering them thoroughly, have confidence in yourself and your art understanding. Start conversations about art. Hear what other people know and think. Deepen your appreciation of the world the work was made in. It's always worth taking the time to dive into a great work of art. You'll come out the better for it. At least, better able to talk about art. If you like my work, I'm about to sell this painting and a few others, so join my newsletter to find out when. And leave a comment if you agree or disagree with my interpretations of the paintings that we talked about. Your opinions are as valid as my own because art is subjective. That's all for this one. I'll see you next time, friend. Bye!